Hello there guys, welcome to one of my live videos, and on this video I am going to be giving you my match reaction for the Chelsea-Liverpool game that ended Chelsea 2, Liverpool 0 yesterday night at Stamford Bridge. So Chelsea, do progress into the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. From a Chelsea perspective, they'll be very delighted with the result, because the FA Cup is a priority for Chelsea because, analysing it, it's their only chance of winning any silverware this season because obviously, they're not going to win the Champions League because Chelsea are 3-0 down from the first leg against Bayern Munich. But, it was an intriguing game, to be quite honest with you. It had a lot of attacking intent. There was also a lot of chances in the game, but I thought Chelsea, totally dominated and controlled the game. You know, Liverpool are in a bad vein of form now. I think they've lost 2 games on the trot. Yeah, they've actually lost 2 games in space of a week. Losing to Chelsea yesterday night in the FA Cup. Obviously, the FA Cup wasn't a priority for Liverpool anywhere. Liverpool's priority is the league. Obviously, they lost last weekend to Watford. That was their first defeat of the season in the Premier League. Watford had ended their 44-match unbeaten run. They also lost to Atletico Madrid. So they've actually now lost 3 of their last 4 games of Liverpool in all competitions. So they are in a bad vein of form at the moment. I think since they've come back from that break, that they had, Liverpool haven't been the same team. So, Liverpool now need to, start rejuvenating themselves, to be quite honest with you in that. Obviously, Liverpool's treble dream is over. Obviously, they can't become the Invincibles this season. So I'd like to hear from some Liverpool supporters, what they think of the game and that. There's no excuse basically, because obviously, Liverpool rotated. They played some of their kids yesterday night. Of course, Chelsea, themselves also rotated. They played some of their kids. So I'd like to hear from Liverpool fans. So obviously, the first goal in the game, came from Willian. It came from a mistake, from Adrian, that basically, led to the goal. So it was a calamitous mistake from Adrian, and, that was a 1-0 to Chelsea in that. And, Chelsea were on top, like I mentioned, for the vast majority of the game. I thought one of Chelsea's best players, was Billy Gilmour. He was very, very good. I think, he's only the age of 18. He dictated the play well, showed good attacking intent, passed the ball very, very well. And I thought he was the difference in Chelsea's midfield. I think he's only played around 6 times. He's made 6 appearances. I think he's made like 3 starts as the player and that. He's still inexperienced, but I thought, he was absolutely fantastic yesterday for Chelsea. Willian also had a really, really good game. I thought Pedro had a good game for Chelsea. Controlled the ball well. Trapped back well. Showed good attacking intent, did Pedro, and he was unlucky not to score, was Pedro. He also had a good game. I thought Giroud was absolutely phenomenal for Chelsea. He had a really, really good game. I thought Kovacic had a really, really good game in Chelsea's midfield. Obviously, before he had to come off with injury. Kovacic did come off with injury. He had to be replaced by Mason Mount, and I thought Mason Mount made an impact when he came on. Chelsea also, too, in the game, brought Jorginho on for Willian. I do believe he is suspended for the next 2 games, is Jorginho. But yeah, it was a very, very good performance by Chelsea. Very good performance. I think Liverpool were unlucky a little bit, because they did actually, create some chances, Liverpool, towards the end of the first half. I've got to also credit Kepa as well. He also did very, very well. Did Kepa for Chelsea in goal. He made a triple save in quick succession. I think Mane, had a couple of chances. I think Takumi Minamino had a chance. But prior to that spell that Liverpool had, I think, Liverpool were poor. But realistically, Liverpool should have scored one of them chances. But yeah, you got to be honest, Kepa did really, really well to keep them out. I probably thought, Liverpool, some of the kids did well. I thought Nico Williams had a really, really good game, to be fair. I think he made one mistake, was it, in the game? But prior to that, I think he did quite well, did Nico Williams. He was playing it right back. Obviously, Trent Alexander-Arnold, wasn't involved in the game. He was rested. Obviously, I don't think Takuma Minamino was too bad. I think, like I mentioned, he'll get more chances going on into next season. Will Takuma Minamino? He will get more chances going on into next season. I did say, he gets his chances in the cup games. Liverpool did pay, what, £7.25 million for him. Obviously, Liverpool did make around 7 changes from their 3-0 defeat to Watford last weekend. They made a lot of changes, did Liverpool. Obviously, Gomez started. He missed the Watford game, due to injury. So Liverpool can't blame Dejan Lovren now, for their poor performance because, he wasn't involved in the game. Obviously, Salah didn't start in the game, but, he came on as a sub. Firmino came on as a sub, did he, in the second half. Also, we saw James Milner coming back into the team because he'd missed the 2 previous games. But yeah, it was a very, very poor performance by Liverpool. And obviously, in the second half, Chelsea, again, totally dominated it. I don't know how Chelsea didn't win more by 2 goals to 0, to be quite honest with you. Ross Barkley, was delighted, to score against Liverpool because obviously he's a Everton supporter, Ross Barkley, and he took his goal really, really well, did Ross Barkley, and, that was 2-0 at Chelsea. But then, obviously, we saw Giroud hitting the crossbar, the inside of the crossbar, was it? He should have scored. Mason Mount, he hit the crossbar from the free kick, so that could have been 4-0 to Chelsea. Pedro had a great chance, to score. He was on goal, but Adrian had saved it. So Chelsea, had chances left, right, and centre in the game, and they caused all sorts of problems for Liverpool. And, when Liverpool did have the ball, Chelsea, didn't allow them any time, on the ball whatsoever. They closed down well. They closed down well, and Liverpool, just couldn't really get into the game and that. And they haven't been so good recently. Liverpool, Liverpool, you can't take anything away from them. They are still one of the best teams in the world are Liverpool, and obviously we know that they're going to win the Premier League. Liverpool, we know that their 44-match unbeaten run has come to an end now. Liverpool only need 4 wins out of their 10 remaining games to win their first ever Premier League title. They're going to win their, first ever Premier League title for 30 years, are Liverpool. And, they'll be disappointed that, they didn't beat Watford, because if they'd have beaten Watford, they'd have made history in the Premier League, would Liverpool, because, they'd have beaten Manchester City's record, because, they'd have won 19 straight games on the trot. But obviously, they haven't done this. And I'm still very convinced that Liverpool will finish on at least 100 points this season in the Premier League, probably even more than 100 points. So they are going to break Manchester City's record in that aspect, from a couple of years ago when Manchester City did finish on 100 points. All Liverpool want is the Premier League. The Champions League, could you say that's the league's a priority for Liverpool, but obviously they know they've probably got the league in the bag, so obviously they'll try and focus on now winning the Champions League. Probably they won't win the Champions League, Liverpool. Obviously, that's a big game for Liverpool against Atletico Madrid. Is it, coming up? Is it next week? Sometime, I think it's on the 11th of March. Liverpool's second leg against Atletico Madrid. Don't forget, they are 1-0 down from the first leg, and they was very, very poor in the first leg against Atletico Madrid. Don't forget, they didn't register one single shot on target against Atletico Madrid in the first leg, and that was the only second time under Jurgen Klopp they've, done that. And, Jurgen Klopp's like managed now 250-odd games for Liverpool since he got recommended in, and now I think he's in his 5th year with Liverpool, is Jurgen Klopp. But, Atletico Madrid's goal was fortuitous anywhere. Saul Niguez's goal was very, very fortunate. It came off Fabinho and it went into the back of the net. But I think at Anfield it will be total comparison game. I think at Anfield Liverpool will beat Atletico Madrid anyway, because Atletico Madrid are really, really struggling. Diego Simeone's been under some pressure. He's been a long-serving manager. Plus Atletico Madrid have had injuries. Plus Griezmann, since he left, they haven't been the same. Since Diego Gordon left, they haven't been the same and that. So I think Liverpool, will progress into the last day of the competition. Liverpool have got a really, really good pedigree in the Champions League, because out of the English clubs, they've won the most Champions Leagues of Liverpool. They've won 6 Champions Leagues. They did win it last season against Tottenham by 2-0 because they won the final last season. But, still analysing it, Liverpool have had a really, really good season. Like I mentioned, they have played a lot of games. Obviously, they've won 3 major honours under Jurgen Klopp. They won the FIFA Club World Cup earlier on in the season. They won the Super Cup earlier on in the season. And they won the Champions League at the end of last season. So when they win the Premier League this season, that will be their 4th major honour under Jurgen Klopp. Yes, it will in that. And Liverpool have obviously, still got injuries, to some key players, and they have had a lot of injuries this season. Obviously, they've got Jordan Henderson now. Liverpool, from a Liverpool perspective, they'll be hopefully be back for either the Bournemouth game or the Atletico Madrid game. Obviously, James Milner's now just come back. Naby Keita's recently, been injured for them. Obviously, Nathaniel Klein, Shaqiri is still out for Liverpool. They're still out with injury. And yeah, so they have got, I think their absent, so their absentees is Klein, Shaqiri, Jordan Henderson, Naby Keita. So yeah, I think that's Liverpool's injuries at the moment. But yeah, so they'll be hopeful. I think Jordan Henderson anyway is due back sometime this month. I don't know how severe Naby Keita's injury is though. Nathaniel Klein anyway is very, very injury prone. So they have had a lot of injuries this season, have Liverpool. But as for Chelsea, like I mentioned, they'll be very, very delighted, will Chelsea, and I think Frank Lampard was very, very delighted, beating one of the best teams in the world at this moment in time. And, Chelsea played really, really well, and I've got to credit Chelsea a lot. I thought their approach to the game yesterday night was very, very good. I thought, that they executed their game plan to perfection. I've also got to credit them for that. Tactically got it right. And I've also got to credit Frank Lampard. Definitely got to credit Frank Lampard. He has overcome Liverpool's Jurgen Klopp. And obviously, Chelsea will look to build on this now and go on a good run because, like I mentioned, the FA Cup's a priority for them. They're probably, they're probably going to finish in the top 4 in the Premier League. So obviously, that will get them, Champions League qualification. Well, 5th place is a Champions League spot now anyway, reflecting on Manchester City's ban from the Champions League for the next 2 seasons. So I think they're going to finish they're either going to finish 4th or 5th at Chelsea this season. But, they haven't been too good recently, Chelsea. Prior to the game yesterday, they dropped points against Bournemouth at the weekend. They got thrashed, last week against Bayern Munich. They're 3-0 down from the first leg. They've got to go score 4 goals at the Allianz Arena to progress to the last 8, which, I'm very, very sceptical that's going to happen. Obviously, they lost to us, the other week by 2-0. That was our first win at Stamford Bridge, since 2012 in the Premier League. So that was around 8 years ago now. And taking into account, Chelsea have got a lot of injuries. Not only Liverpool have had injuries, Chelsea have got a lot of injuries. Like I mentioned on the preview, they've got Callum Hudson-Odoi out. They've got N'Golo Kante out. He's one of their imperative players, is Kante. They've got, Tammy Abraham out. I think he's Chelsea's top goal scorer this season. So yeah, Tammy Abraham's out. Marco Alonso was injured earlier on in the season. I think also too Ruben Loftus-Cheek is injured, or he has been injured for Chelsea. So taking into account, Chelsea have also, got a lot of injuries. But I did say, didn't I, in the preview, I thought it might have ended like a 2-2 draw. Could have actually, gone to extra time from my own perception, I actually just found out, that, there's no replays in the 5th round. So if it ends a draw, it goes to extra time and penalties if necessary. But, I said, didn't I, it could have gone either way. And I did say it was going to be interesting to see how Jurgen Klopp was going to approach the game. And I did say, didn't I, he'd play some of the first team players and he'd play some of the youngsters. I said, Jurgen Klopp, would have done that. Because obviously, the FA Cup isn't a priority for Liverpool. Liverpool haven't won the FA Cup since 2006, which is around 14 years ago now. They haven't won it since 2006 and that. But to be fair, Chelsea are a very, very good cup team. They've won it quite a few times with Chelsea. Arsenal have won it the most times. They've won it, 13 times. So they are the most successful team in FA Cup history, are Arsenal, because they've won it the most times. I mean, the last time Chelsea won it was back in 2018 against us. They beat us by 1-0 and that. And, Chelsea are a very, very good team. They're just not enjoying a great season, let's be honest. And that Chelsea will be determined by the way to give Frank Lampard time, because, Frank Lampard's on in his first season as Chelsea manager. They're going to give him time, obviously, to spend money in that. Obviously, Chelsea have got their first signing on the board through Hakim Ziyech. He's going to arrive at Chelsea this summer. Chelsea paid around £30 million for him from Ajax. And he seems a pretty decent player, what I've seen of him. But he's going to join Chelsea in the summer. But Chelsea, will probably want to make more signs. And I know Frank Lampard's inexperienced as a manager. Obviously, he only began his managerial career last season with Derby, but did progress Derby to the playoff final. It doesn't mean he isn't going to succeed at Chelsea. So Chelsea, do need to give him time. Maybe I've got the same perception on Solskjaer with us. Maybe he needs to be given more time. Obviously, Solskjaer's also too inexperienced as a manager. But Lampard will be relieved to get one over Jurgen Klopp, because, not only he's beaten Jurgen Klopp, don't forget he's beaten Jose Mourinho twice this season, because Chelsea have beaten Tottenham twice this season. Obviously, he's been embarrassed by Solskjaer, though, as Lampard, because, Solskjaer has beaten Lampard like 3 times as a manager. In total, Solskjaer's beaten Chelsea 4 times as manager since he got recommended in as Manchester United manager. And all of that. But like I mentioned, Chelsea have had a lot of managers in a short period of time. Obviously they got rid of Maurizio Sarri at the end of last season, despite the fact Chelsea won the Europa League last season. That got them automatic qualification for the Champions League. Plus they got to a League Cup final. The last time they won the league, I think it was back in 2017, was it, under Antonio Conte, when Chelsea won the league. You could maybe say, looking back, Chelsea did make a mistake by getting rid of Conte. They had Mourinho, didn't they? But they got rid of Mourinho due to the club doctor. He endured 3 years. Oh, well, sorry, not 3 years, 2 spells with Chelsea, did Jose Mourinho. Won like 3 Premier League titles with them. So, they had Gus Higgins, they had Di Matteo, they had Ancelotti. Chelsea, I think, come up against Everton this weekend, so Ancelotti will be reuniting with Chelsea. So, yeah, and there's other managers. So, Chelsea have had a lot of managers in a short period of time. So, take that into account. And I think, on the other hand as well, Chelsea will get rid of players this summer, maybe. I think they also made a mistake last summer by getting rid of Eden Hazard, because I thought Eden Hazard was one of their best players. Obviously, he endured like 7 years with Chelsea, did Eden Hazard. Obviously, Chelsea at one point did have a transfer ban, but, luckily Chelsea, got their transfer ban overturned. But they've got some good players, and I like Rudiger. I rate him. I think he's a good centre-half, is Rudiger. Azpilicueta isn't so bad. Marco Alonso isn't so bad for Chelsea. And, I think they've got quite a few, not only a good senior squad, I think they've got quite a few good young players coming through. But they definitely no need to make more signings, Chelsea, if they are going to be, future title contenders under Frank Lampard's guidance. Definitely in that. Yeah, yes, they do. And, as for Liverpool, I don't think they'll be too disappointed, to be quite honest with you. Liverpool's next league game is Bournemouth this weekend at Anfield. I think it is the early kickoff. I think it's 12:30 kickoff. Obviously, Liverpool win that. They will be 25 points clear of Manchester City. And then, obviously, if they beat Bournemouth, they'll only need 3 wins then to win the league. And I think, they'll get back to winning ways at the weekend, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. I think Liverpool will beat Bournemouth. But, Liverpool will just be delighted, to be winning the Premier League. Obviously, like I mentioned before, they have come close on quite a few occasions. They came close last season to winning it. They finished on 97 points last season, did Liverpool. Obviously, they came close back under the Brendan Rodgers era. He enjoyed one good season with Liverpool. I think they came close once under the Rafa Benitez era. But they'll just be delighted to get the title on the board. Will Liverpool? Liverpool, of course, will want to make signings in the summer transfer window. I think on the other hand, Liverpool are going to get rid of players. But if Liverpool are to continue their dominance up, they do need to make more signings in the summer. And obviously, the likes of Timo Werner's on their agenda. Liverpool have been long admirers of Timo Werner. Also, too, Jadon Sancho's been on their agenda. Kai Havertz, he's another player on their agenda. So, Liverpool will probably want to make around 2 or 3 signings in the summer, definitely in that. But I've said to I think the players they need to get rid of. Klein needs to go because he doesn't get in the team. Obviously, Trent Alexander is first choice ahead of him. Obviously, Dejan Lovren needs to go because he's been getting a lot of criticism from a lot of Liverpool fans as Dejan Lovren. Joe Matip may go in the future. I think also too they'll move Adam Lallana on. Adam Lallana did play yesterday, but he doesn't get in the team enough, Adam Lallana, and I think he's done well for Liverpool, to be fair. But I think they're still set to lose him on a free transfer at the end of the season. And Shaqiri and Origi, I think they'll also be moved on. Also, Origi did play yesterday. He was up front alongside Mane and Takuma Mino. They're good as backups, but they don't really get enough chances. Them. So yeah, Liverpool they'll get rid of around 4 or 5 players in the summer, definitely in that. And like I've said to you, this is the best Liverpool team I have probably seen in Premier League history, to be quite honest with you. It's the best Liverpool team I've seen for quite a while. And yeah, and like I mentioned, Liverpool have had a lot of good players up and down the generations. They've also had a lot of good managers up and down the generations. But Jurgen Klopp is the best manager that Liverpool have had in this generation, like I've mentioned before. Jurgen Klopp's got a contract with Liverpool until 2024. He extended his contract earlier on in the season. And I think minimum he will see out his contract. And then when he does eventually decide to leave Liverpool, I think he'll probably go back to Germany, will Jurgen Klopp. But like I mentioned with Klopp, he's always had the style of play as Jurgen Klopp, and that's something I've been impressed with him. He had a good style of play at Dortmund, and I think since he's come to Liverpool, his style of play has improved at Liverpool, to be fair. Liverpool so far have spent they've spent around £460 million since Jurgen Klopp got recommended in on recruiting new players in. 460 million's been spent at Liverpool. So basically, they have been sensible with their recruitment. They've definitely been sensible with their recruitment of Liverpool and that. And, like I mentioned, they paid, £3 million for Andrew Robertson. I don't think he was too bad yesterday, to be fair, for Liverpool. I think he's been a very, very good left-back for him. So if Liverpool were to sell Andrew Robertson, they'd get quadruple the £3 million that they paid for him. Obviously, Trent Alexander-Arnold, been Liverpool for the entirety of his career so far. He's been Liverpool player since the age of 6 or the age of 7. And, he's done really, really well as Trent Alexander-Arnold. Obviously, the most expensive signing is Virgil van Dijk, who they paid £75 million for. Obviously, Salah, 30-odd million. They get a lot more for him if they were to sell him. He won't spend the entirety of his career with Liverpool from now on, will Salah. I think at some point he will move on. Maybe he'll go in the next year or two. I don't think he's been too good this season, though. Like I mentioned, hasn't had that clinical element. Mane's done really, really well. Don't forget he came back from injury not too long ago. I don't think Firmino's actually scored for a while, to be quite honest. But I think they've been in much better form than Mohamed Salah. Liverpool have also got a lot of midfielders in their team. They've obviously got Fabinho. I think he's rejuvenated himself since he's come back. I said Jordan Henson's enjoyed a good season. Naby Keita predominantly plays in that number 8. Doesn't really play a lot, though, does he, Naby Keita, to be honest with you? Doesn't really play a lot. James Milner, he's still going strong, but he has had a few injuries this season for Liverpool. So like I mentioned, they have been very, very sensible with their recruitment. Yes, they have. And, I think they can challenge for the league, at least for the next couple of seasons, can Liverpool. If they can get more signings in the summer. I think Liverpool can dominate English football at least for the next 3 to 4 years. I think, they really, really can in that. I think realistically the only team that can stop them is probably, Manchester City. They're probably the only team that can stop Liverpool because, City is still very, very good. they are still very, very good at Manchester City. Let's not take that away from them. You know, they haven't been as good this season, obviously, as they have been in the last 2 seasons, because they've lost as many games this season than they've lost as many games this season, you know, than they have done in the past 2 seasons of Manchester City combined. But you know, City have already got some silverware on the board this season. That's the Carabao Cup. That's their third Carabao Cup on the trot this season. I think there's a great chance that they can win the Champions League, and that's City's priority is the Champions League, because you know that's the only trophy they haven't won in their history is the Champions League. And I think they're going to progress to the last eight now, because you know the 2-1 up against Real Madrid from the first leg. That was a historic night for Manchester City against Real Madrid, because that was the first time they'd beaten Real Madrid ever in the Champions League. You know, but you know City did win at the Bernabeu by 2-1. But City, you know, we're hopeful that they could have won the Premier League this season, because it would have been their third title on the trot, because they've already won back-to-back Premier League titles of City. But they've won 8 major honours now under Pep Guardiola, and I think Pep Guardiola now is into his 4th year at City. City recommended him in back in 2016. But, you know, City themselves have had injuries. Obviously, you know, I think they've still got Sane out. Raheem Sterling's just recently come back. He was out for around 3 weeks. Obviously, you know, Laporte's did come back from injury, but, you know, he's got re-injured again as Laporte. Don't know how severe his injuries. He came off injured in the game against Real Madrid, did Laporte. You know, I don't know how severe, like I mentioned, the injury is. I think Mendy as well, you know, did get suspended. So City themselves, you know, have had quite a few injuries, you know, definitely. But City will probably be, you know, looking to strengthen their squad up in the summer, as well as Liverpool. You know, we'll be looking to strengthen our squad up, Man United. Chelsea will be looking to strengthen their squad up. Probably Arsenal will be looking to strengthen their squad up. And we need to see, the league needs to be better next season, because I think the league's been very, very poor this season. A lot of teams have been very inconsistent. And this is why my club, Man United, can still finish in the top 4. Because we've enjoyed our worst start ever to a Premier League season, and we can still finish in the top 4. So it just indicates how many teams have been poor. We haven't been so good. Tottenham haven't been so good. Chelsea have been poor. In the league, Arsenal have been very, very poor. And it's also one of the main explanations why Liverpool have blitzed the league, is because, you know, a lot of teams have been very, very poor in that. But, you know, the season when Leicester won the Premier League, you know, I thought the, you know, Premier League was very, very poor. And that's one of the main explanations why Leicester City won it. That's one of the main explanations, you know, why Leicester won it and that. But, yeah, so that's your match reaction for the Chelsea-Liverpool game. There'll be more videos coming up very, very soon. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, guys, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.